Hello, I'm Denise Dagan with the Stanford Parkinson's Community Outreach Program. You may have tried to convince your spouse or parent to let you hire in-home healthcare aides and heard a resounding no. This resistance is very common, but how you overcome it is different if you're trying to convince your parent versus a spouse. Let's start with spouses. Ideally, you'd have a conversation with your spouse or partner in the early to mid stages of Parkinson's about what assistance will eventually be needed and how that can be provided. If you've not had that conversation and put a plan in place, you may be in a position to hire in-home caregivers over the objections of your spouse or partner. If you are so exhausted you feel you need help right away, hiring house cleaning and yard services, grocery and restaurant delivery, etc. will give you some quick relief. But eventually, especially if you already employ those services, you'll need to hire in-home care. If your spouse or partner's cognition is good, have a frank conversation with them about the level of your exhaustion and your need for help. Sometimes that's enough for them to consent, but do try to understand their concerns. Ask what tasks they are most comfortable having help with and most embarrassed by needing help with. When you draft a plan of care with the home care agency, be sure to include your loved one's preferences and concerns. For example, you can request caregivers of the same gender as your spouse, or specify that they prefer using a toilet or commode rather than adult diapers for as long as possible. If your loved one's cognition is not good, you may have to be creative about how you bring caregivers into your home. The most frequently recommended strategy is that you introduce a new caregiver as a friend. Start with just a couple of days a week and add more as the situation becomes comfortable. Have the healthcare aide visit while you're home, chat, play games, all together with refreshments as you would a friend. During the visit, the healthcare aide can help prepare the refreshments, learning where things are in the kitchen and the layout of your home. With each subsequent visit, the healthcare aide will do more and more to help out until eventually your spouse or partner is comfortable with their presence and you can leave the home with the healthcare aide on duty. For adult children, convincing parents that it's time to hire in-home care can be tricky and frustrating. To minimize pushback, approach them in an adult-to-adult manner. Share with them the specific reasons why you believe it's time to hire help. Express that you understand their independence and privacy is important to them and that you want to work together to ensure their health and safety. Ask questions to determine if now is the best time to hire home health care. Again, a temporary solution may be hiring house and yard services, grocery and restaurant delivery, that kind of thing. But if you're convinced that it's time, or even past time, for your parents to hire in-home care, here are a few suggestions to try and convince them. Make their health and safety the top priority. While it may be easy for your parent with Parkinson's to dismiss the need for in-home care, they may be more cooperative when you point out how exhausted their spouse is trying to do everything by themselves. For example, you may have heard that your mom tried to lift your dad after a fall. Reminding your dad that your mom could have really hurt herself might motivate him to hire help. You can also share that refusing to hire help causes you stress and anxiety. And if they're still uncooperative, consider having their doctor bring up your concerns. Sometimes people are more receptive to accepting advice from a professional. As frustrating as it is, you must accept that your parents are entitled to make decisions about how much assistance or care they're willing to receive. But don't give up hope. Instead, keep communication open, keep expressing your love and concern, and hope that the seeds you've planted will sprout with a little more time. For more information about hiring in-home care, check out the Stanford Parkinson's Caregiver Corner, Topics and Caregiving section at med.stanford.edu/Parkinson's.